In 1912, a Latvian immigrant named Ed Leedskalnin arrived in New York City. In the early 1920s, he started and completed a coral castle, total weight of approximately 1,100 tons. More specifically, oolite limestone. Ed was a slight man, approximately 5'6" tall, and he weighed 100 pounds. Yet somehow he built this coral castle by himself, but nobody ever saw him work. The trouble with that is, nobody knows how he did it. When unpacking a story like this, dates are extremely difficult. He wasn't really a historically significant man at the time that he was alive and doing this work. He showed up in America in 1912 in New York. A census by 1920 showed him in the Northwest, capitalizing on a logging boom. He declared his occupation as a maker of axe handles. In the early 1920s, he showed up in Florida City, Florida, suffering in the terminal stages of tuberculosis. There is a book on this that I do not recommend called Waiting for Agnes. It's written by a guy named Joe Bullard, and Joe's a nice guy. I talked to him on the phone, but this book is so poorly edited. The first 100 pages of this book are about a time when no one was there to record it. It gives direct quotes and tells a story that no one can corroborate that I know of that's alive. And if you're going to do a historical work like this, you can't use direct quotes from people when you weren't there and nobody knows it. Then it becomes very quickly a piece of fiction. What we do know is the Coral Castle exists today in Homestead, Florida. You can go visit it. It's a tourist attraction. Ed never revealed how he was able to manipulate these huge stones, some of them weighing up to 18 tons, by himself. He would give vague comments like, "It's not difficult if you know how." Well, what does that tell us? He also claimed that he knew the great secrets of the Great Pyramids of Egypt. When he showed up in Florida, he was suffering from the terminal stages of tuberculosis. Now, he healed himself from tuberculosis using what he called a magentron machine. He claimed it had something to do with magnets. Everything was based on magnetism to him. And reports would see him bathing in the noonday sun from noon to 2 o'clock. And he would have great sheets of blue glass with blue goggles on, rocking in a chair, bathing in the sun. Is that true? Does that work? Can that heal tuberculosis? I don't know. Now, he only worked from midnight to 6 a.m. No one would see him working. He would stop working when anybody tried to spy on him. He claimed he could feel them looking at him, and so he immediately stopped working. Now, some people say that he worked from midnight to 6 a.m. to maximize the gravitational pull of the moon. Maybe. Other people claim because it was the southernmost tip of Florida, he was avoiding the brutal Florida heat. Is that true? I don't know. There is also a supposed case of a junkyard truck that he bought just for a few dollars that had no engine in it. And he created a revolving magnetic motor that propelled this truck through a series of gears in perpetual motion. But later on in the account, there's no mention of the truck, and he rode a junkyard bicycle that he assembled. What happened to the truck? And it's never addressed anywhere that I could find. Is that true? I don't know. Some accounts have it listed at 1923, another account listed at 1936, where he moved Coral Castle from Florida City, Florida to Homestead, Florida. Also, some accounts say the move was an hour away. One of them said it was 10 miles away. Which one is true? I don't know. What I do know is he moved the castle with a crappy old Ford truck and a trailer, supposedly. This castle that Ed built, made of what we're going to refer to as coral, What we do know is that it was built so precisely and tightly that no light can be seen through the cracks of the walls. The 8-foot tall walls, weighing tons and tons at each section, haven't settled to this day at all. His work boots had heels and soles covered in iron. Now, this could be because coral is so terribly hard on boots. The man was reportedly poor. It saved him the cost of buying boots. Or could it have something to do with grounding and magnetic pull? I don't know. There was a gate on this castle that swiveled, and it weighed 9,000 pounds, looked similar to a giant block of cheese. But it was so perfectly balanced on the axle of a Model T Ford that a child could open and close it with one finger. He claimed he had found the exact center of gravity of this gate. Now let's talk about this gate for a minute. It gave out in 1986, and here again, dates were unavailable. But the pop rock star Billy Idol had a song called Sweet 16, and he filmed the video for this song at Coral Castle. Now, I don't know if that happened before the gate failed or after. What you do know, you have to assume, is there were a lot of people going in and out of those gates, and this is after decades of use and demonstrations of how easy this was to push. Well, eventually the gate failed. So they had Florida University, 6 men, and a 45-ton crane came to repair this gate. And they did, but it didn't operate as smoothly. In 2005, the gate failed again. Attempts were made to repair the gate, but it never again opened as it did when Ed built it originally. Now, I believe they position it open, they let tourists in to tour Coral Castle, and at the end of the day, then they swivel the gate again and close it. There's a lot of people and a lot of videos, even here on YouTube, that claim they know how he did it. It's no great mystery. It can be easily done by this and that and the other thing. Well, how come you haven't done it then? How come nobody has showed us how he moved these giant stones? This is one man, 5'6" and 100 pounds. When he died, in his tool supply, they found some ropes and some chain and a couple of pulleys. Well, you can hoist and raise stones, I assume, of great weight. What about moving them horizontally? Nobody seems to explain that. How come they couldn't fix the gate? He used to give tours in Coral Castle for $0.10 a piece. Now, this is the early 1920s, 30s. Even after he moved it, which reports vary, some claiming up to a year it took him to move this operation down to Homestead, Florida. You can still tour it to this day. The gate was made so precisely that there is 1/4 of an inch between the gate itself and the walls. And you can look up pictures of Coral Castle and see how this was made. I don't understand. I don't know how you carve out of the ground. I get the hoisting. I get that part. How do you cut it out of the ground? I don't. In 1951, Ed either had a stroke on his way to the hospital or had a stroke in hospital. He ended up dying 9 days later of kidney failure without ever telling us the full explanation of how he achieved these feats. Interestingly, the U.S. government, it was found out through a leaked document that they had or have perhaps a secret system for stalling patents called the SAWS program, S-A-W-S, which stands for Sensitive Applications Warning System. It supposedly went into effect in 1994 and supposedly discontinued in 2015. Did it discontinue? I don't know. What I do know, there were several things covered that they would stall or deny patent applications for. Perpetual motion machines, anti-gravity devices, room temperature superconductivity, free energy, gain-assisted superluminal light propagation, or anything faster than the speed of light, or other matters that violate the general laws of physics. Now, why would they stall or not grant patents that cover these applications? Does the U.S. government ever actually suspend programs that are considered defunct or inappropriate? I don't know. What I do know is a slight Latvian immigrant with a 4th grade education came to this country and built something that can still be seen to this day that is absolutely phenomenal and makes one question, how and why could this be done? Could it be done again? How did he do it? I don't know. What we do know is after his death, they investigated his living quarters and found $3,800 in cash. The man was living off of sardines and crackers, I think. But he had $3,800 in cash. I don't know. Something I do know is that his father told him there were 3 keys to living a successful life as a man. And that was something to do, something to love, and something to hope for. That seems pretty accurate to me. I appreciate your watching. I would appreciate a like and subscribe. You know how the thing works. Thanks for your time.